How's everybody doing today? Hey, you guys can finally see me. How's it going? I see MTX, I see Gray, I see Matt. Chlorishoe's here. What's up, Chlorishoe? Hi, Morse. Hey, thanks, Chlorishoe. What's up, Kev? How's it going, my people? Is my mic volume low? It might be. If I'm low, I can crank it up. I'm only at half mass here. All right, I'll crank it up. Cheers. Can you hear me? Is that better? I have volume issues, apparently. What's up, everybody? I see people are trickling in. XDC. How's it going, Brent? Hey, Ion. I don't have a big boy voice. Did I borrow Joe's headset? No. Nobody wants to borrow Joe's headset, I don't think. All right. I'm going to go ahead and get us on to the PowerPoint so we can get on to the fun stuff. If I can find the PowerPoint. All right. Welcome to Zero to Hero Week 9. You guys have made it through 9 weeks. This may be the penultimate week. I have not decided. Hey, Nate Dogg's here. I haven't seen Nate Dogg in forever. What's up, Nate Dogg? All right, so today's agenda. Quick housekeeping. And then we're going to go into 80 topics and resources. And then finally, we'll dive into our lab, do some 80 exploitation, continue that on, and end with Q&A and AMA. I just thought you got arrested, Nate. That's all. That's all. All right, man. So, housekeeping. First thing on the agenda, new beginnings for the Cyber Mentor. Many of you have already heard. Some of you are already talking about it. I put in my notice this week at my job, and I am going to be starting my own venture. So, don't know what that's going to look like yet. Don't have everything planned out, but I'm trucking it on my own and you know, going to give it a try. So, wish me luck. And in this venture ahead, I'm sure you'll be seeing posts about it coming in the near future. And I also plan on blogging about the experience. So hopefully you guys may learn from my struggles on what it's like to run and operate a small one-person business. So other than that, let's talk about what's ahead. No stream Wednesday, May 29th. Again, no stream Wednesday, May 29th. I said this last week. I'll say it next week because somebody will forget and show up. I will be out of town. I will not be here on the 29th. Now, we have the opportunity for two different paths. We can either be doing an Active Directory Part 3 next week, or we can go right into maintaining access, pivoting, cleanup, plus the legal stuff. So I'm going to leave it up to you guys. And I won't know until next Monday what we're going to be doing fully. I'll plan for both. We're at a situation where I have more that I could teach you. I could teach you weeks and weeks of Active Directory exploitation. The issue is I don't have a lot of time to build out the labs. So there are a couple hack the box machines that I'm going to ask you to upvote if you have VIP. I've already sent that out in the email. We'll talk about that here in a minute. If you upvote those, we'll have a third stream on AD, and we're going to talk about Kerber roasting, and we'll talk about GPP and C passwords. We'll talk about Eternal Blue, MS 1710. So we have a lot to cover in another stream if we want to go that route. Next week still may be the last week. I don't know how much I have to cover in a maintaining access, pivoting, cleanup side of things, plus the legal stuff. We may just do a super long stream, or we may do a special stream on like Tuesday, May 28th, and just have some fun with a legal document. We'll do something with it. Maybe play a drinking game out of it or something, and get me drunk before I go on vacation. So we'll figure a way out to end the course with a bang. And congratulations to all of you that have made it this far. So big hats off to you who've been here every week. I don't know if you realize, but we started with probably, 100 viewers on average, and it's sexy in the beginning, and consistently 50 of you have been here in and out every week. I think the mailing list is somewhere around 500. So I know some people can't make it, but the ones who did show up in the first few weeks, they didn't stick it out. They didn't have that mentality to continue, and you guys have continued. So big hats off to you as well for sticking it out. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. First things first, I'm going to give you guys some important readings. So I've already sent out some of this, but these are very, very important. The first one here is this AD Beginner Common Tactics. It's the top 5 ways I got domain admin on your internal network before lunch. It's from 2018. It still holds true fairly well for internal pen testing assessments. Let me pull this up here. This is the article. It's really good. So if you scroll through it, number 1, NetBIOS and LLM&R poisoning. What did we do last week? That's exactly what we did. This is the number 1 method. It will hold true as the number 1 method for quite some time. Scrolling through it, relay attacks. We're going to be covering relay attacks today. That's why I asked you to download or install a 4th machine. I know that's very RAM intensive. If you do not have the RAM, you'll just have to watch. So I have a 4th machine that we're going to relay to. And if we keep scrolling through, what else has he got in here? MS17010 doesn't necessarily have to be an Active Directory environment, but you're going to find this low-hanging fruit all over the place. So there's not much to show or to teach here, but we do have a box, and I'll cover that in a minute here, that we can cover with this via Hack the Box. And this is something that you should be looking for on every assessment. This low-hanging fruit is amazing. So, also, Kerber roasting. Kerber roasting is a big one. See it on a lot of assessments. And another box that we can cover via Hack the Box. Again, we'll talk about that here in a minute. And I think MITM6, this is the one that I use that much, but it's something worth reading and looking at his tactics. I'm going to give you some extra homework tonight as well when it comes to relaying. And you're going to go on your own and do your own lab after what we've built out, and you can go further with what we do. You're going to get a proof of concept tonight, and then I want you to take that further and explore what you can actually do with relaying. I saw a sub come through. Thank you, Bammers, Brent. I appreciate that. All right, back to our fun list. So on that list as well, we've got advanced Active Directory topics. If you've never been to adsecurity.org or seen Harmjoy's blog, you are missing out. Please do check those out. As well, we've got non-AD privilege escalations. Windows version is Got Milk. Very, very good guide. I will be posting this, and I can submit the links if you need to. Please do take a picture if you need to as well. But I will be putting this on with the videos. And Linux privilege escalations as well. These are really, really great blogs. So we can take a quick look at those. And somebody asked why I'm using Edge. I'm only using Edge because I don't want to show you all my fun tabs, bookmarks, and plugins that I use with Chrome and Firefox. So AD Security, this is a Sean Metcalf website full of posts that are above my head, if I'm honest, but there's some really, really good stuff in here about learning Active Directory. Anything you want to know about Active Directory attacks and security, this is the website. I think Harmjoy is a close second. He does a lot with Active Directory attacks. He's got Kerberoasting in here as well. So worth a read if you want to go into some of this advanced stuff. Now, when we talk about the privilege escalation, we've got the got milk, and I think I put this backwards. The got milk is actually the Linux, and if I put that backwards, I'm sorry. I'm working on 3 hours of sleep tonight. So I did put it backwards. It's under Windows, but truly it is actually Linux, and switch the Linux for the fuzzy security. So this is the God guide. You know, this is the holy grail of Linux guides, and this is the holy grail of Windows guides here for fuzzy security. So take a look at these. This is more common in what you're going to see in capture the flag environments, the OSCP type stuff. When you talk about doing hack the box, any of those type of things, you kind of want to look at these tactics and start understanding, what tools might be out there for these tools like Sherlock, or there's like the linenum.sh or privschecker.py is another one for Linux. So some of these common tools that can do some of this automatically for you, and look for some of these. And we're going to talk about the Meterpreter version of that tonight once we get into it. But also just note both of these blogs, and if you ever pursue, or do hack the box, keep these in your back pocket as something to have for research. All right, so we got a bunch of questions coming through. Let's see. Should we domain join the fourth machine? You can if you want to get ahead of me, but I'm going to be showing it. Do I share the presentation? I can share the presentation. I will be sharing the links in the Discord channel, and I will be sharing the links on the YouTube. So, okay, back to our presentation. So, let's look at some common AD attack strategies, most of these which you just saw. So we have LLMNR, nbt-ns poisoning. We started that last week. We cracked our hash offline. Now we are going to see what we can do with these hashes, these offline cracked hashes. So we're going to test the credentials against logins. What I mean by that is typically we're going to look for, SMB, and we're going to use PsExec for that, or CrackMapExec with that. But, any AD login will work. You check on any web pages that are out there that might be using Active Directory and allow you to log in. You never know what you might find. On top of that, tonight we're going to be talking about relaying hashes. So SMB signing must be disabled for this. And by default, in most environments, SMB signing is disabled, and a lot of admins don't like to enable it because it causes issues with speed. So you'll find SMB signing turned off most of the time. We're going to go in and make sure that it's turned off in our settings tonight, so you'll get to see where you turn it on and turn it off from a defensive perspective. Some other common attacks we talked about: Kerberoasting, the GPP, C passwords, and the MS17010. All of those can be taught next week. We're also going to be covering token impersonation tonight. I've got quite a bit I want to show you guys, depending on our time limit. So, and then also some things to look out for is just low-hanging fruit. So an example of that is default credentials, and I've told this story before, but I've told it in the Q&A usually. One of my favorite assessments that I've ever had, I got domain administrator off of default credentials on a printer. So you have full potential to find domain admin in the weirdest possible ways. So just because there are you're sitting there with responder, you're not cracking any hashes, you're finding that everything's patched, doesn't mean that there's not something out there that is improperly configured or misconfigured and allows you to gain access. So always look for the low-hanging fruit. You never know what you're going to uncover. And to go into the other common attacks and the ones that I want to show you. So let me go back, and we're going to be on Hack the Box a couple times. So if we come onto Hack the Box here and you have a VIP membership, come down to Machines, come down to Retired, may take a second to load, and I have full faith that active is going to get voted in. It's already got a lot of votes. So if you want, please direct your votes towards blue, because that'll allow us to have a little bit more flexibility. But if you search active, active has 14 votes. It's killing it this week. Let's check in on blue. Blue's got 3 votes. Blue needs some love. So, I mean, blue is going to be a box that takes us probably 15 minutes to go through. And, you know, it's not going to be that exciting, but it's still going to be a lesson for people who are new and to understand, you know, the MS17010 exploit. So I'd love to show you those two and maybe even get through the end of the course next week. And we may just do a special capstone. Now that I'm thinking about it, I may give you guys a capstone in the final week of May. So on the 28th, what we'll do is we'll just take some of these old boxes and I'll walk you through the process of how I would enumerate it, how I would attack it, and I would try to pick the most realistic things so you can see it from a penetration testing perspective, from an enumeration perspective, and we can kind of start it from start to finish and see how I would attack in my perspective. So please do upvote these if you can, if you'd like another week. If you don't want another week with me, that's fine as well. We can end early. So with that being said, let's go back to these slides one more time. And let's talk about certifications, courses, and training. So I'm going to repeat that what you're learning from me is the beginner, the basics, everything you need to know. I'm not going to be able to teach you. I could do this for weeks. Now, there are some great courses that are out there that can teach you some more advanced AD tactics. I've already provided some blogs for you, but if you're a certification, video, training, lab kind of person, there's quite a few of those as well. So first one I'd like to show you is the eLearn Security PTX. I've heard mixed reviews about it. I actually have purchased this and I haven't gone through it yet, so I cannot confirm or deny how those reviews are. But I have heard that it goes kind of well with Hack the Box, the Pro Labs, which we'll get into here in a second. So if we look at it, hey, thanks, Gratz, I appreciate that. So if we look at it here, the PTX, Penetration Testing Extreme, it goes into advanced tactics. It's got social engineering, AD reconnaissance, red teaming Active Directory, red teaming SQL Server, Exchange, and WSUS there. So some things to look at, but a good shout out goes to actually PTP, which is kind of the competitor to the OSCP. Big shout out here because if we scroll down into, let's see if it's sniffing man in the middle. Let's see if the labs are. Hold on, I know it's in here somewhere. If you look at lab 9, or actually, sorry, lab 11, they do have nbt-ns poisoning exploitation with responder. They've got DNS and SMB relay attacks. They've got different types of privilege escalation, bypassing AV, etc. So this here is why I have been so adamant about eLearn security and why I say, you know, like PTP is really out there because like if you're seeing the attacks that I'm teaching you, they're really upping their game in terms of being relevant and staying with the times. They update within every 3 years. This is great stuff. So worth checking out. Like I said, I don't know about the PTX. I have not taken it yet. It's on my list to do. But it's definitely worth looking through this. And it even teaches you things like wireless and programming, you know, some web apps. So it's really cool that it goes over all these tactics from a broad perspective. So worth looking into and worth, you know, purchasing if you have the funds and the time to study it. So somebody said their interface is nice too. Their interface is really nice. Very nice. Would I recommend taking this after the OSCP? Yeah, I think it would still give you a leg up because the OSCP doesn't have nearly any of this. Can I send the slides on the Discord? Yes. I've mentioned that I will send the slides on the Discord. Do I recommend SAN stuff? We're going to save the questions for Q&A, guys. Q&A time afterwards. So, all right. let's go into some other resources here. So there's 2 Pentester Academy resources. I'm hearing good things. The Attacking and Defending Active Directory, I actually purchased this and I'm in the labs now. So far, so good. I think that it's actually a really good course. The advanced version of that is the Red Team Labs, and I have both of those brought up here. So I would start out with the Attacking and Defending Active Directory and then moving on to the Red Team Labs. Now, neither of these will give you a certification that is HR worthy. If you're after it for the HR, you're in it for the wrong reason. Same thing with eLearn Security. These are for pure knowledge-based learning. These certifications really just don't do it for the HR. So you've got this course here, Attacking and Defending Active Directory. Like I said, that's more of the beginner course. And then the Red Team Labs are their more intense course, and it's focused purely on hacking Active Directory. So the last thing, and I'll just skip the slide and go right to Hack the Box. Hack the Box has 2 pro labs. Now, these are probably the cheapest solution out of everything that I've shown you, but this is going to be most of your research time is going to go into this. If you come on the left side, they've got the Rasta Labs and they've got Offshore. Now, I have heard very good things about both of these. I've heard the most good things about Offshore. It was made by a guy named Ben. Ben based this on an actual pen test that he went through. And I've heard nothing but good reviews about it. So it really emulates what a Active Directory environment is and a pen test is like for one of these, and just has some crazy outside the box tactics that you really need to learn. And it's got all this checklists in here that you need to go through. So very, very good environment from everything I've heard, and it will challenge you. So with that being said, these are your options. Please do look into them. I'll bring up the slide one more time so you guys can take a picture. As I've stated, I will send these slides out in the Discord channel, and I will be posting the links down in the description on the YouTubes. So here is the slide one more time. I'm going to grab a drink. All right. So that is it for the PowerPoint. I'm done boring you guys with that. This Rasta Lab's made by Rasta Mouse. It sure is. All right. So where did we leave off last week? We left off capturing the hash of the Punisher, right? We captured his hash, we went out and cracked it, and we realized that his password was password1 with a capital P. Didn't have the greatest of security. So we're going to run a scenario tonight, something that we see quite often when it comes to pen testing, and that is a situation where we leverage those credentials into getting domain administrator. So we're going to need to do a few things. So again, we have our Kali machine, we have our Windows server here, we're just going to let that sleep. And then we have our Windows 10 machine from last time. Let's just go ahead and power this on if yours already isn't. Let's get logged in here. Okay. So if we come into the C drive, I've created a folder here because I was doing testing for this lab, but I'm going to have you guys recreate everything I've already done, and I will stall, chat, do whatever so you guys can catch up. So please do create a scans folder. This is emulating something I have seen in a real life environment, plus some other situations that we're going to see. Now, commonly, users have a scans folder located somewhere on their computer. It's got a user scanning to it or their own account scanning to it. So what we're going to do with that is we need to share that folder out so that the folder has SMB access and can be accessed by the printer or whoever it is that needs to access this folder. So you're going to right click on properties, go to sharing, and you're going to hit share. And the settings I have for this is that I'm just sharing it with the owner, Frank Castle. It should be your Marvel Frank Castle account or whoever it is that's tied to your domain. So hit share, done. Now, if you may notice that he is a local administrator for me. I've already made him a local administrator. We're going to do that in a second, but you may need to enter credentials in for your administrator. Hopefully you remember those from last week. But once you have that shared out, we're going to go ahead and make good old Frank a local administrator for this machine. This is also very, very common in environments, working environments. So let's go ahead and just right click on the start menu. And we're going to say computer management. We're going to click on local users and groups. And we're going to click on groups. Now from here, we are going to go to administrators, double click on that. You're going to say add. And then all you have to do is type in the name of the person. So F Castle, you can just hit check names and it'll pull it in if it's in the Active Directory environment. And then you just hit OK. Now I've already got Frank in here as a local administrator for this computer. Thank you, Sully, for the sub. I appreciate that. All right. So we've got Frank in here. And we've got him as a local administrator. We've got a scan share that he can access via SMB. So what we're going to do is we are going to reboot this computer. So let's go ahead and just do that. And okay, so somebody asked, well, I'm going to answer some questions while we wait. Somebody asked if I think SANS courses are worth it. Like the audience was saying, if you have the funds to pay for it, or if you have work funds to pay for it, then I think it's a good opportunity to go. They also do have the work study program where you go work for a week, and then I believe it's like $1,500 or so to actually take the course. So things to consider, but you can spend your money better elsewhere unless you're working one of those cush jobs that actually do pay for your SANS courses. Now you can see that I'm stuck in the restart loop from hell, so it may be a minute. I rebooted this machine earlier and it took its sweet time, so I don't want to force shut it down if I don't have to. Jeff says the military has a free program. While we're doing this, I'm going to bring up the chat so other people can see if they're watching. You can't make a share. Why is that? Updates. The Bucks play in 2 minutes. The Bucks are going to lose. I don't think so. I think the Bucks are going to win the series, if I'm being honest. Password incorrect? You forgot your own password, man? Come on. All right, when you get to the login screen, if you worked ahead of me, this is why you are wrong. When you get to the login screen, please do not log in as Frank Castle. We're going to perform 2 attacks today. Please log in as the administrator, the domain administrator. So Marvel, and we're going to log in as administrator. Hopefully you remembered your password from last week. I will give you guys time. I know I also ran into the update as well. So Windows forcing updates on us whenever they feel like. Feels bad, right? So we're logged in. Make sure when you get logged in, you're logged in as an administrator. I'll give it a couple minutes. If you got a question, I'll wait for some of you to catch up. And also, I'm going to give some credit to Windows Defender, because Windows Defender has caught me in the last couple weeks doing exploits that I have never seen it catch me before. So it's going to be time to start upping my game. So I'm honestly really impressed by some of this. So we're going to actually have to turn off Windows Defender for the exploit we're about to run. Now, this is an exploit that I run all the time in client environments. Whether or not they're using Defender, most likely not. Probably some form of AV that's not catching this. But Defender is doing a really good job as of late catching these exploits. All right. So we are logged in as the administrator. I'm going to go ahead and just get it going. I'm going to type in Defender, go to Windows Defender settings. We're going to click on virus and threat protection. And I never know how to disable this. There we go. Go to manage settings, and we're going to turn off real-time protection. If you didn't see that, I will repeat it. Go to Windows Security, click on virus and threat protection. You're going to manage your settings. And then you're going to turn it off here in the real-time protection. Nidens is saying don't disable it. He's warning us for the bad things that are going to come. All right, so now we've got that disabled. We can stay logged in, doesn't really matter. Let's go ahead and hop over. Actually, let's get the IP address of this machine to make sure that we are attacking the right machine. Sometimes these things do change. It is 134. Earlier it was 138, so that's good to know. Okay, so with your IP address in hand, go into your terminal. We're going to be living in Metasploit. I'm doing a stream next week. Don't spread lies. Gray's over here spreading fake news. All right, so we should be at this MSF5 screen. I'm going to take my face away so you guys can see everything. And we're going to be using a tool called PsExec. So we're going to say use exploit Windows SMB PsExec. Just like this. Now what this does is, if we are able to connect to a shared folder as an administrator or with execute privileges, we can upload malware and gain a reverse shell. This is important. So there are two tools that we're going to actually use. Actually, let's back off. Let's back off. This would not be my first step. Let's back off just a little bit. So actually, let's do this. Type apt install, and then I want you to type CrackMapExec, just like this, and hit enter. Now I've already got it installed, but go ahead and install it. I'll give you another second. You said you heard I was giving away a ThinkPad. You know, nobody has sponsored my stream, so if you call Lenovo up and you get them to sponsor my stream, I will give away that ThinkPad. You can be my marketing outreach, Jeff. That can be your job, since you're going to be doing nothing else in Amsterdam. All right. Let's say that we've got CrackMapExec installed. So I'm going to give you a proof of concept here. We could use the credentials we already have. We're pretty much only going to log into one machine, which would be our machine. So I'm going to give you an example a little bit different. So CrackMapExec, what it does is it does a pass the hash or pass the SMB account or whatever account you've got, depending on what it's, what's built in. I don't know. I only use it for SMB. I think it has more than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to say CrackMapExec, and you'll understand more once I type in the syntax here. We're going to say SMB, and then we're going to type in the targets. So for me, I'm actually going to type, you could type an IP, one IP address. I'm going to type in a .0/24. And what it's going to do is it's going to sweep the entire network with the credentials looking for SMB logins. And it's going to come back and say, hey, I found a login, or hey, I didn't. This is a tool by ByteBleeder. It is an amazing tool. So we're going to just say username, -u for username, administrator, -p for password, and make sure you put quotations around it. Whatever your domain admin password was, please remember that. And then a -d for domain. Our domain is Marvel. And then we're just going to hit enter on this. Now it's going to go through all the IPs and try to log in. And you can see that it actually pwned multiple machines. So when you're in an environment and you've stolen creds or cracked creds, what you can do is you can take the creds and you can pass them around and see where you have access to from an SMB perspective. Every single place where it says that I've got a login, I'm going to go and try to get a PsExec shell and use that to see what information's on the computer. And we'll talk about that here in a minute, what we can do once we're on a computer. Now you see the domain administrator has access to all the machines that we have, one being the domain controller, the other one being the Punisher. The Punisher does not have access to the domain controller, which is why I showed you the domain administrator account so that you can see multiple logins at once. So just know that this tool is one of the best tools you can have on an assessment when you crack credentials. And it also works with hashes, which I'll show you later. I didn't get the pass the hash to work. I'm going to show you the techniques, but I wasn't able to actually get it working. But you'll at least get to see how to accomplish it. In 1 second, I've got to sneeze. All right. So now we passed it around. We figured, okay, we're going to try to log in. We'll just pretend that instead of administrator, this was Frank Castle. Oh, thank you, Matt. And we're going to come back to our screen over here. And we've got PsExec up. So somebody asked, we're logging in as domain admin to remove Windows Defender. That is not the case. There's another reason we're logging in for domain admin, and I have not gotten there yet. So just bear with me. The local admin of Frank Castle would be able to remove the Windows Defender as well. Okay, so let's type in options. And let's set our rhost. So my rhost was the Punisher machine, which sits at 192.168.202.134. The share of admin is fine because we need to be able to connect to a admin account to be able to exploit this anyway. And now we need to set a few things. We need to say set SMB domain. It's going to be Marvel. Set SMB pass. And we're going to say password 1. Set SMB user fcastle. Okay, and then down here it says exploit target, and it gives us automatic. But that just tells us that there's some other targets in there. So I like to say show targets and see what possible target options we have. So it's got automatic, it's got PowerShell, native upload, and MOF upload. I don't have a lot of success with the PowerShell version. I actually have the most success with the native upload. But when I'm doing this on an assessment, I will run through every single target type. But for tonight, we're going to go ahead and just set the target to 2. So we'll say set target 2. And then we'll say options again to make sure that we have done everything we needed to do. We've hit our required here, and then we filled out everything we need to fill out here. Okay, so let's go ahead and just say run. And it looks like we connected, uploaded, it didn't work. We'll try running one more time. Okay, let's try setting the target. Something else, see if it runs, and that works. So here I go talking about PowerShell never working. I bash PowerShell, and then PowerShell comes through in the clutch. This is what I mean by trying all your different targets. I would stray away from using automatic. You can try it, but I like to go through the targets one by one if I can, because I don't know what it's picking when it's picking the automatic. So now we are in a Meterpreter session. You can see it says Meterpreter session 1 opened. We have a shell on this machine. We can say get UID and see who we are. We actually got a shell as system. So typically I was looking for this to execute as Frank Castle. And some of the times I run it, it does come through for Frank Castle. Sometimes that I run it, it comes through as system. So not sure why that is. We could type in sysinfo and see what kind of info we have here. Hey, thanks, Michaela. Okay, so we actually got an x86 Meterpreter session, and we've got an x64 architecture. That's not the best situation to be in. So let's background this. Type in background, and it's going to background the session. Let's see if we can't upload a different payload. So let's see if we can say, let's look at options. It might not show us. Okay, it does show us Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP. Let's see if we can get it into a 64-bit payload, and we might not be able to. So we could just say set payload Windows Meterpreter, double tab, and there's actually not going to be a 64-bit payload. So these are all going to run in as 32-bit. And people are getting ahead of me. Yes, yes, yes. So we're here in a 32-bit situation, right? And it's always important to know what architecture you're on, what Meterpreter shell you have. Can you improve that shell to get where you need to be? So we cannot here. We can't get any better. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to go and say sessions. Okay, we've got our session here. We can just go back into session 1. Just say sessions 1. We're back where we need to be. Now, Rory is getting a little ahead of us and saying that we can migrate into a process. So if we type in PS, and you look through these processes here, you can see all the processes running. You can see the PID and the parent PID. We have to be very, very, very careful of what we pick here. Because if we pick the wrong process, and sometimes it's a guessing game, you want to pick something that's running as system already, and you want to pick something that's running as x64. And sometimes it bombs the whole thing. So Rory is saying service host every single time, but I'm not gonna mess with it today. I'm gonna leave it alone because I've got other lessons for you guys. But if you're feeling adventurous, you could pick one of these. Say example 1076. You could say migrate 1076. Hit enter and try to go into it. You may lose your session and have to reboot your machine. So for purposes tonight, we're just going to go ahead and skip doing that. I don't want to break the machine, have to reboot, and have to go through the process again. but it is important to know what process you can or at least need to switch into. It's important to know your architecture as well. No balls? Yeah, I've got no balls. All right, so let's type help. Let's see what all the fun things we can do with a Meterpreter session. There's quite a bit, right? So you've got your core commands here. You've got file commands. We can actually download a file from the computer. We can upload a file to the computer. We can navigate around, make directories, etc. We've got networking commands. We've got the fun ones. We've got ARP. We've got route. We could do port forwarding, which we're going to talk about in a later video on how to pivot and use port forward. We could see the IP addresses if we need to. There's system commands, kind of what we were just doing. PS, we can reboot it. We can do a shell, which I'll show you here in a second. We can do key scanning. We can basically do key logging. We can take a screenshot. We can look at the webcam. We can record the microphone. We could take a picture of the webcam. We can watch the video stream from the webcam. So when you have those little webcam covers, this is a big reason why that you have those webcam covers. We've got elevate commands here. Get system. This is one of the first things that I try if I have a low session. And the get system actually works on this one. If you're brought into a session as the administrator, not system, if you just type in get system and hit enter, you will actually get the system. Now, hash dump is one of the most important commands that you need to know. It is not going to work for us in this situation. I can show you. As Rory said, I have no balls, but hash dump is not going to work in this situation because I have a 32-bit architecture Meterpreter shell and we are on a 64-bit machine. So until I migrate that session over, then none of these things are really going to work that well. So I'm going to show you everything conceptually, and we're going to go ahead and just kind of look around. So one of the first things that I look for, and what I try to do right away, is I load up a tool called Incognito. Now what we're about to do, all you have to do is type load Incognito. And if you want to see the Incognito commands, you just type help. It brings it down at the bottom. The last loaded module will show you exactly all the commands that it has for it. So what we're about to do is called token impersonation. And so let's talk about token impersonation. So you have these things called tokens, and basically they're just a temporary key, right? And it allows you to get in and out of systems and networks without having to use your credentials. So what we can do is we can replay those tokens and try to gain access to an account. So there are going to be two types of tokens that we're going to see. We're going to see delegate tokens and impersonate tokens. The delegate tokens are for the type of logins that you actually physically log in the machine, like we did with the administrator account, or if you do like RDP or something like that. The impersonate tokens are when you're like using a network drive or you've got scripts running or something like that. So it's basically hands-on interacting versus not interacting. So what we can do here is we can say we want to list the tokens. So we'll do list tokens, and then it'll want an option here. If you just hit enter, it'll ask for an option. We can either do by group name or by username. I like to do by group, or by user, I'm sorry, because by group will throw in quite a bit of information for us. So let's look at user first. However, it is possible that to look through the group information and see if we have a member of domain admins, for example, that we can impersonate. If you look through here, we'd be looking for, let's see, for Marvel. So Marvel domain admin does belong to one of these users that's sitting in here. We know it's Marvel administrator. Okay. So again, we say get UID, and you see right now that we are authority system. All we say is impersonate underscore token. You can hit tab, and then we're going to impersonate the token of Marvel. And there is escaping, so we have to do 2 of these slashes here, and then we'll just say administrator. Okay, and it says delegation token available. Remember, it's a delegation token because we were logging in as the administrator, and we weren't an impersonate token because we were not doing something with like a network drive or a script. So we physically logged in with the administrator. That token is sitting on that computer until the computer is rebooted. So now we have impersonated the administrator. We could say get UID, and it thinks we are the administrator. We could type in shell, and now we're at a command prompt. We say who am I, and it says you're Marvel administrator. So every command that I run from this point on looks like I am Marvel administrator. I am doing impersonation here. Basically, this is a path to domain admin. We have accomplished that. We've stolen a domain admin account, and we can start getting malicious with it if we want. We can change the password. You wouldn't probably do that on an assessment unless you have the permission to do it. You can try to run net commands and see. Now, a good environment, and they're starting to do this now, would prevent net commands from being run, net commands that affect the domain from being run outside of a domain controller. So we can try to run something like net group to see all the domain admins. And you can see this command can only be used on a Windows domain controller. That's a good feature. Sometimes we can sit here and we can just add a new user to the domain admins and use that with a password that we know, because at this point we don't know the password for the Marvel administrator. We just know that we are the Marvel administrator right now. So we can make an account if the net commands were available and create a new domain admin account with a password that we know, and then just go log in the domain controller and plant a flag there as well. So this is a very, very nifty feature to know. Let's take a look at some other things though while we're in Meterpreter. I do want to show you some things. So we're going to hit Control C and terminate this. I need a drink because I've been rambling on. Now, there are a couple of other tools that we can load in. Actually, if we type in load and we just hit tab twice, you can see all the other things here that we can load in. We can load in PowerShell, Python, Mimikatz, Kiwi, and I encourage you to go into a Meterpreter shell, load all these, and figure out what they all do. So when we're on a 64-bit architecture, we can load Kiwi. Now, we are not on a 64-bit shell, so you're going to see it says loaded x86 Kiwi on x64 architecture. So this is not going to actually work. So if we look at it here, and we could say help, and one of my favorite commands for Kiwi is just to dump the creds all right here on the top. We say creds all, not running its system. Okay, so we're still running as the domain administrator. We could do rev to self, and that should get us back to system. This just reverts back to who we were to begin with. Okay, now we could try creds all. And you're going to see that it doesn't dump anything. It's not going to dump anything because we're not running on the right architecture. But do take a look at what is dumpable in here, right? Kerberos, you got the W digest. You can do golden ticket attacks, which we're not going to get to in this course, but this is another common. If there's a top 10, golden ticket's probably in the top 10. We've got Wi-Fi profile list and credentials. The LSA sometimes has useful information in it. So these are good to look at. Now, for a 32-bit system and a 32-bit shell, we could load Mimikatz. And you can see that it doesn't like that we're running on a newer system. This is typically for older systems. We could say help again, but we could start just typing in things like Kerberos. Okay, well, we didn't get anything really useful out of here. And And again, it plays into the issue that we're having. So now that I've shown you everything, I may go back. Once I get everything shown to you, I'll go back in and try to migrate to a process. And if we fail the computer, we fail the computer. Okay. So from here, one thing that we can do that's useful as well is we can background, right? So I showed you that earlier by just doing it on my own. We can just type background and background this into a session. If you notice now, it puts us into, it puts us back into a Meterpreter or a Metasploit area so we can pick modules. That session's still running. If we type in sessions, it's still running in the background. And what we can do with it is we can use that session in other places. One of my favorite things to do on like Hack the Box, Capture the Flag, is to use a tool called the local exploit suggester, and that is a post command, meaning we have already exploited, so this is after the fact. So we can search for that, but I'll just type it out here. We say use, and it is post multi recon local exploit suggester, like that. Okay, and then we'll just type in options, and you're going to see that it asks for a session, and that's all it needs. And now I don't know if this is actually going to work because of the mismatch we have, but I do want to show it to you. So let's just say set session 1, and then we'll run it. And now it's collecting local exploits for x86 Windows. That's really not the case, right? Because we have 64-bit Windows. So this may give us some false positives here. But what it does is it collects everything that may be an exploit. And this leads to easy win a lot of times, like I said, on Capture the Flag, or even if you're in a situation where you're not able to escalate to system for whatever reason in your environment. What you can do is it suggested two different situations here, right? So we can try to run this exploit against the session, this privesc here or this privesc here. It says it thinks it's vulnerable, can't validate it. And this one says it appears to be vulnerable. So we would just say use exploit windows, and we'd set the session again and try to run it. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a peek here and see if we can't migrate this session. So sessions 1, and then let's take a PS again. You want to pick a number, Rory? You feeling like you're going to win the lottery here? We've got SVC host on 728. I'll let you pick, buddy. This is Rory's choice. Give me a number. 1076. We're picking 1076. All right, here we go. For all the marbles, people. It's either going to make or break our shell. He did it. He did it, guys. Look at that. Always trust Rory with your process migrations. Beautiful. Beautiful, sir. Today you win the internet. All right. Sysinfo. Now you see we are on a 64 Meterpreter with a 64 architecture. Now we can do some fun stuff like hash dump. Oh shit, look what we just did. We dumped all the hashes. So we have a local administrator account that is by default, right? This comes by default. We actually never set a password or set that up, I don't believe, because we went in and we set up Frank originally. And this is not, these are all local accounts. These are not tied to Active Directory. But we have hashes here. So we can take these hashes and try to capture them. We can also take these hashes and try to pass them around the network. And we can use something like CrackMapExec to do that. And I'll show you how to do that. But let me tell you a situation where this comes in handy. Now think about an environment, and this has happened to me many times. Think about an environment where they have a lot of computers, and they take the same image from every computer, and they use it, right? They image all their computers with the same image, the same base image. Well, that same base image is going to have the same administrator account. So I don't even have to know a Active Directory account to log into that computer. I'm sitting here logging in a system to every computer in that network. It's only going to be a matter of time before I get credentials, or I do token impersonation, or I find something in a file that I shouldn't be seeing, or if I get onto like an IT account and get all the passwords. So this is win a lot of the times. So there are two different ways that we can do this. Basically, what we can do is we could use CrackMap. Let's go back up here. If we hit tab up, we'll delete Marvel. And I don't know if this is going to work. So let's try it though. Let's capture this hash here. You'll start from the A's and bring it all the way over. Just like that. Paste. I'm going to keep the quotes around it. We may need to remove the quote. It might not recognize it as a hash. It doesn't look like it's recognizing it. And again, I wasn't getting these working, but this is the methodology that you would use to try to log in. So you would try to pass this hash around. And you don't even need to know the password to do this, right? Hey, thanks, Eric. I really appreciate that. So another method, if we background here, is we can actually use PsExec as well. So what we would do is we'd say use exploit Windows SMB PsExec again like this. Let's look at our options. Okay, we'll keep the machine because this is the machine we attacked. We'll say admin or whatever here, but let's say unset SMB domain. And somebody said to use the -H. You are absolutely correct. I completely forgot to do that. So 1 second. That could be the whole issue entirely. Thank you, Solo. I messed up my syntax. See if it works. Still not getting it. I don't know if this account is active. It would probably be better to try it with the Frank account. We can try it with the Frank account. Let's grab Frank instead of administrator. And let's actually just point it right at 134. See if it works. And not getting a response. All right, let's try sweeping in the network again one more time with it. It's not responding on 134, and that's okay. It could be that it's actually connecting and it's having issues. So let's just kill that. But that's one method. That's one method right there to pass that hash around. The other method is with PsExec. So we're in here, right? I unset the SMB domain, so we're going to take that off. Let's set the SMB user to Frank, and then let's set the SMB pass as that hash there, and try running this. Yeah, we're getting host unreachable. We may have lost the connection. That's a rip. Just when we were getting our mojo. That's okay. We'll reboot. It may have fallen asleep and yeah, it paused itself. These machines, man. I don't have my settings on right. So the machine paused itself. All right, let's try it again. Let's see. We lost our shell there as well. Oops. Okay, it's back to life. Let's try CrackMap one more time. 134. Still got a login failure. And we could try with PsExec as well, now that it's up. Access denied here. We could try setting the target to something else. So it's connecting, but it's not able to execute. So the question was asked, we disabled Windows Defenders or anything else. We created a scans folder and made the user domain admin, but I think you're already past that if you're on the Windows Defender. What's up, Sick in the Mind? All right, everybody. So this is just a lesson. I'm going to pause it here because we're already at 9:06. This is a lesson, and what you need to take away from it is what happens with credentials from LLM&R poisoning, that we can do these PsExec attacks, we can do token impersonation, we can, we can do pass the hash. We don't even have to have the hash or the account cracked. We can pass the hash of what we gather for local accounts. And we can take the accounts with CrackMapExec as well and pass them around with the cracked password and see where we can log into. SMB, majority of the time, bad passwords along with SMB are going to be the easiest way you're getting around a network and getting your win. If you have long, complex passwords and you don't have SMB in your network, you're going to make it a lot harder on us as a pen tester. So, with that being said, many of you are asking about NTLM relay. That is going to be the next thing we're going to cover, and then we're going to call it a night. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, we're going to have to do some setup. I've got 2016 server running. We've got Windows 10 running here. And am I missing a 10 machine? I've got, let's see which one this is. This is Marvel Administrator. Okay, this is the other one. So Windows 10 machine, we are logged in. And who are we? Okay, so yes, this is the right one. So we've got another computer here. This is going to be Spider-Man's computer. We've got Peter Parker. I've just created a local account at this point for Peter. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a relay attack. Now, a relay attack is where we are capturing the LLM&R hashes, and instead of taking them offline and cracking them, we're actually going to relay them to another machine and try to get information off of it. So, here's what we're going to do. First things first, we need to go on to the Windows server. So let's get there. Let's log in as the administrator. And I've got all this open. I'm just going to close it out. We're going to redo it all. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into here and we're going to say, we're going to start typing gpmc.msc. I'll give you a second to catch up if you need to. Okay, let's click on that. So from here, you're going to see default domain policy. We're going to right click on that and select edit. From here, we're going to be under the computer configuration. And we're going to say policies. And then we're going to click on Windows settings. We're going to come down near the bottom and select security settings. Okay, and then we are going to select local settings, local policies, I apologize, right up here, and then security options. So if you need that again, we are in computer configuration, policies, Windows settings, security settings, local policies, security options. Now you're going to scroll down until you see Microsoft Client, Network Client actually, and you're going to see here it says digitally signed communications always, and also if server agrees. I just disabled both of those. So you come into here and you say, hey, sign the communications. No, let's not do that. We're bad admins, right? So we're going to say disable, and we're going to hit OK. We're going to also do the same for if the server agrees. Just say disable, define this policy, say OK. You may need to reboot your machines or do a GP update to actually push this policy. By default, I believe it's actually off. I'm just enabling this here. But for the purpose of keeping up with you guys, I'm just going to reboot both my machine, my domain controller, and the machines that we need to complete the attack. So let's go ahead and just reboot. Thanks, guys. I am the best domain admin. We're going to reboot here as well. Make sure it picks up the policy. Oh, it wants us to update and restart. Jerks, man, jerks. Let's reboot here. All right, before we reboot this machine, we've got a couple things I'd like you to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click. We're going to go into the system here. I like to rename the PC. What's up, Techno Bro? We're going to name it Spider-Man because it is Spider-Man's computer. We'll restart later. We're also going to need to join the domain, which let me pull up these domain server real quick, log in. Username should be Tom Holland. I don't disagree with you. All right, let's pull the IP off the domain. Okay, it's running at 137. Okay, somebody did message me last week and tell me how to get to the network. I still don't know, so I just type in network. And there's change adapter options here. You're going to right click on Ethernet 0, go to properties, double click on IPv4, and we're going to set DNS. So we are going to point it directly at our domain controller. And since all of you homers wanted 1s last time and I gave you 8s, I'll give you 1s this time. All right. Now that we've got our DNS set up, we're going to say domain. It's going to say access work or school. Click on that. Click connect. Set up a work or school account. We're going to actually say join this device to a local Active Directory. What's the domain name? Mine is marvel.local. Okay. And oh, I forgot. I don't have an account for good old Peter here. So Let's go into the server. We're going to go to Tools, Active Directory, Users, and Computers. Go to Users. I'm going to right-click on Frank Castle and just say Copy. We're going to take all of his policies. We're just going to call this guy Peter Parker, P. Parker, first initial, last name. ncpa.cpl. Thank you. I'll never remember that, but I thank you. Password never expires. We're going to make Peter have the password of password 2. Finish. Okay, we've got Peter there now. Let's go back here. P. Parker, password 2. Standard account, next. And we're going to go ahead and reboot this computer. Of course, we're hit with Windows updates. So let's take this as an opportunity to chat with each other about how awesome Windows is. Somebody said policies included as updates. Yeah, that is true. Hey, thanks, Anonymous Cheer. Happy to see you back. Will I do scammer streams in the future? I don't know what kind of streams I'm going to do in the future, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know where to go from here. All right, we're going to log in as Mr. Parker. Actually, let's log in as let's just make it easy and log in as the domain administrator. We're going to speed things up a little bit. Actually, I forgot to put Marvel in front of that. It's going to take just a second. If I'm ahead of you guys, let me know. Okay. So, we're going to have to make, for this situation, what we're going to do is we're going to make Frank Castle an administrator. We're going to pretend that the account that we're relaying is an administrator or at least has access to this machine. Now, you see that a lot of the times where improper configuration where a user has access. I had this in a recent internal pen test. I cracked a user password and the user happened to have access to just one server. It was just one server, but that server allowed me to navigate to the domain controller. So you want as limited access as you can and least privilege, right? So what we're going to do, though, is we're going to demonstrate an environment where they're allowing their users to have some administrative privileges on multiple machines. And that's how we're going to be able to do this relay here. So let's go ahead and right-click on this. We're going to go into computer management again. And we're going to go into local users and groups. We're going to click on groups again, double-click administrators. And we're going to add an administrator here of Frank Castle. If I can spell it. Okay. And apply that. So now he's part of the local admins. We're going to come in. We're going to go to this PC. We're going to go to the C drive. we're going to right click and we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call it scans. Same thing, no different. We're going to right click on that, go to properties, sharing. We're going to share this sucker. Okay, we've got administrators have read write, administrators built in have ownership. Just to make sure we're not missing anything, we're going to give fcastle his own as well. And we're going to give him full read write. And we're going to share that. So now this is sharing. We should have SMB open on the machine. Do I often see domain admin user accounts separated from IT staff? No, I have seen that one time. It made it a lot more difficult to exploit the environment, but we still ended up doing it. However, they were doing a great job with that. We were able to capture their their base IT accounts, but their domain admin accounts had really, really long password policy, and it was fantastic to actually see an environment like that. But you don't see that a lot. All right, we're gonna go to Kali now. And we're going to find responder again. I think it's in user share responder. Actually, yeah, so mine is in user share responder. Okay, and we need to make an edit here. So what we're going to do is we're going to gedit responder.conf. We're going to edit the configuration here. We need to turn a couple things off. We're not going to be starting an SMB server, nor are we going to be starting an HTTP server. So make sure, again, SMB is off and HTTP is set to off. Okay, we're going to save that. Now we're going to fire up responder. And that looks something like Python responder.py. And then we say -I eats 0 -RDW. Okay. The firewall should not need to be off for PsExec. So, okay, here we are. Now let's talk about the situation again. We've got the HTTP server off. We've got the SMB server off. We are sitting here listening for events to happen. Okay, when a hash comes through like it did last time, we're going to use another tool called NTLM Relay X, and we're going to use that to relay the NTLM hash. We never have to crack this hash. We're going to take the hash, pass it to an SMB, and try to gain access that way. This is where SMB signing is important. If you have SMB signing disabled, which it is in most environments, this is a killer, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new tab, and we're going to say locate, and we're just going to find, I don't know where it's at, it's going to be in a different folder, NTLM relay x.py. Okay, it's going to be in the impacket folder. So we're going to say cd opt impacket examples. Okay, now we're going to fire up NTLM relay. They say Python NTLM relay x.py. Actually, I got ahead of myself. We have a target that we need to specify in a text file here. So if we ls, I've got a target.text. If we go in here and we just say cat target.text, it is 138. I don't know if it's 138, but we're going to have to make a file for it. So give me 1 second. So we say command ipconfig. It is 138 still. So make sure you have a file with your address for the machine of Peter Parker. Okay, so we're going to say Python NTLM relay x.py -tf target.text. I like to put in SMB2 support. fire that guy. Now that guy's going to sit there, listen for the NTLM relay, and then it's going to relay it to the machine that you're choosing. Now remember how we did this last week. We're going to fire a hash off to ourselves. Let's go ahead and log in as actually Frank to Frank's machine and pray that this works. Live demonstrations are always the hardest. Says he can't get to the hack me. That's not good. Actually, I wonder if that DNS issue just caused it to relay. It did not. There was poison. Okay, let's try just pointing it. So point it towards your attacker machine. Let's go back to Cali, wherever that is. Am I not on 128? Oh wait, it happened. It did happen actually in the initial. Okay, so we did relay. We did relay. So if you come in here, it takes the connection from 134 and it attacks 138. You can see that Marvel Fcastle succeeded. With authentication, Fcastle had access to 138. Now, automatically it comes in here and it says, what can we do? Well, it's going to dump the local SAM hashes. Now we have the SAM hash for administrator and for Peter. So we're going to go in and we're going to try to log in with this hash on the computer to gain access. We're also going to try to pass these hashes around to see what we can do. We're going to try to take this offline and crack it if we have to gain access to the machine. Now, this is an example of NTLM relay. My challenge to you, and I said I was going to challenge you to do something, you can take this further. You can actually get a full shell from this doing something called SMB relay. Same concept, just a little bit different tool set. So that is my challenge to you. If you're doing this lab and you have successfully relayed, now take it and see if you can get a shell. You're going to have to do some Googling, figure things out, try a little bit harder, whatever the fun lingo is. But that's my challenge now, is to try to get a shell off this, either with the Meterpreter or with using Empire, and see how far you can get. But this is the proof of concept that we can actually access the machine and dump the local SAM file. So very, very cool technique to use, especially if you're not getting anywhere with the actual responder, the password cracking. So Rory's giving out hints. He says Empire is the thing he uses for this. Yes, Empire is likely the way to go. If you look up most articles on how to do it, Empire is going to be in there. You may find one or two with Meterpreter, but it does not hurt to learn Empire. So that is my challenge. That is it. And this lesson is officially over right at 9:30. So again, if you guys want to see round 3 of this, I am happy to do that. Please just upvote on active and upvote on blue. We'll do that. It'll probably be half of a week next week. And what we'll do, or half of a session, and then we'll dive into whatever we're missing. I don't remember what we're missing. We'll probably start into our pivoting lab, or we may cover the legal stuff and do a pivoting lab at the end. I got to figure out how I want to do that. So I really do want to do a capstone. We'll see if we can do a capstone, or we'll just do capstone lessons for a couple weeks after the course ends. And that way you guys can get a feel for what my enumeration process is and how I really look through things. So that'll be fun. Somebody's asking upvote where. You have to have a VIP membership to hack the box. I will pull it up one more time. On Hack the Box, if you come into here, You go into machines and retired. And then you say find active. Active is up to 15 votes. Thank you guys. Let's check on blue. Blue is up to 9 votes. Look at you guys. You guys are awesome. All right, so it looks like we're going to be doing part 3 next week. So next week we're going to be covering GPP passwords and C passwords. Next week we'll be covering Kerberoasting, which is super important. And we'll also be talking about MS17010. So you guys put in the work, I will do it. So with that being said, the schedule is going to look something like probably half of the session next week on part 3. And if we do a maintaining access pivoting cleanup, that's probably only half a session worth of stuff as well. So tentatively, we're probably aiming for the 28th being the last stream in the course. If somehow I figure out a way to end it all next week and then we can do a capstone after that, we'll do that as well. So, and thank you guys for all the kind words coming through. Appreciate it. We are in the home stretch. I can retire. Blue and active. Blue and active. All right, so your boy is on 30 minutes or 3 hours of sleep. So I'm going to give you 30 minutes of Q&A tonight. I'm going to cut it a little short. So we'll do hard stop at 10 o'clock so I can get some sleep. I've got a lot that's been on my mind with this whole new job thing or new business venture or everything else, and just really haven't had a lot of time to sleep because I'm just go lately. So how entry level does Hack the Box get? It can be fairly entry level. For a beginner, if you want my advice, come into the retired boxes first. If you have VIP, if you don't have VIP, that's fine, but VIP is worth the $13. And let me show you. Come into the retired boxes first because they already have the write-ups, and look for the ones that are rated the easiest. All the greens on the left, like this granny, looks pretty easy. What else? Nibbles looks pretty easy. Poison looks pretty, it's got some in the middle. But you want to avoid like Smasher, right? Or Big Head. You want to avoid these ones. But a lot of the times you can click in on something like, let's say like Granny here. Let's click in on her. And it does take some time to click through. You get to see some information, how realistic it is. You know, some things about it, if it's more CTF-like as opposed to a realistic, how much enumeration you're going to have to do. People give that information out. Now, the nice thing is, a lot of these boxes come with a PDF write-up. They're not the best write-ups in the world. They're not step-by-step, but they're pretty close. They don't go fully into mindset, but they tell you how to get there. So that's one way of looking at it. You can also, of course, do the IPSEC walkthrough. Watch those and, you know, take it from there. Another way of seeing how easy a box is to check the first blood and see, you know, how long it took somebody to get the root and user accounts. 2.5 hours is not that long. The shorter, if you see the ones that are like 5 or 6 minutes, you can guess that's probably a really, really easy box. So the shorter the time frame, the lower the difficulty rating, the easier it is. Okay, back to the webcams. So do you see yourself exploiting Windows more than Linux when pen testing? Yes, Windows 99% of the time. Cancel Netflix and use the funds for Hack the Box? I don't know if I'd go that far. I like my Netflix. My eyes look bloodshot. That's just because I'm high, Gray. That's all. Smoked a lot of weed before this. That's not true. Please don't drug test me. Am I using an Empire payload? I am not using an Empire payload. You would use an Empire payload for SMB relay, or somebody provided the -E to execute a payload on SMB relay X. You could, in theory, set up a Meterpreter handler, a Metasploit handler, if you know how to do that, and run Meterpreter exe as well. So, food for thought, but those are the more advanced tactics that I want you to kind of go out and explore for yourself. My new job, drug testing already? I don't have a new job. I am my own boss in 2 weeks. Hopefully. So I won't drug test myself. That would just be a waste of funds, unless I'm going to charge that to expenses. I do need some expenses. I was thinking of buying a 2080 Ti and just charging it as a business expense. You know, for hash cracking purposes, not gaming purposes at all, hash cracking purposes. Sugar daddy. How was my very first pen test on the job? Scary, man. It was scary. So my very first pen test was an external, and that's typically where you start out. And it's probably the most familiar in terms of methodology for what you're looking for. Like from if you've done the OSCP or if you've done a lot of hack the box, an external is where it's the most like I said, familiar. So I had guidance. I had somebody to go and ask questions to. But the one thing that I did, and I recommend to anybody that's starting out a new job, if you have access to them, go and read all the previous pen test reports that you can, and gain information on what people are finding, what the common findings are. If you have a document that has all of the common findings that you've found previously, that's also very valuable to just read through and get an idea of some of the things that people are finding and what they're looking for. That way, when you run your scans and your environment, you start navigating around, you start seeing things, you're like, oh, yeah, I know that's a finding. So the more familiar you are with it, the better it is. But it really just comes to taking it slow, enumerating, and also it really helps to, with your first few pen tests, if somebody else really is the lead and they do the pen test and then you also do the pen test and you come back and you compare notes. That's another way you can learn, because they can say, hey, let me show you where you missed this or what we're looking for, or the methodology. Catching up on questions. Do you use or send a Dropbox to a customer like a Pony Express? We send a laptop to customers that phones home to a VPN network as soon as they plug it into their network. So we basically just RDP into a Kali machine, and we have a full Kali interface that's sitting on the network. So pretty straightforward. You have the benchmark on Hashcat for that? Perfect. It's 2080 Ti. We need this expense. What? 960 was 500 KHS. Your friend ran it. It was 2.9. Nice. That's dirty. That is dirty. I've got a 1080 right now, and it is going to, I think it's going to break. I got it used, and I think they knew it was broken. Like, one of the fans is basically, anytime I boot a game up that's intense, it sounds like it's going to spin off. I still got the RMA, which is kind of why I want to go and just buy a 2080, and then when I ship it, the RMA is like 20 business days. So that's a long time without a graphics card, because the only other graphics card I have in the house is a 970, and I don't want to backdate to that. So I'm looking to buy the 2080 and just call it a business expense at some point. Have you ever pen tested Citrix environments? One time. Does it affect my methods? No, I don't think it affected my methods. Am I quitting? Yeah, I'm leaving my job and just starting up my own thing, Nate. You got 2 asshole cats? Come on. You love those cats, don't lie. Don't lie, buddy. Whew. I don't know what that is. A brutalis? I feel like I should know what that is. Let's Google it. Or send me a link, because apparently that's a lot of different things. That's cool. This terahash? That's actually really cool. Let me see if I can pull it up. Do. $32,000? Yeah, let me just expense that. Oh, okay. Well, the Brutalis is only 25.5. I guess that's better. Yeah, fairly reasonable, guys. I think. They're destroying everything at 3 a.m. So we're down to 1 kitten, Nate, and she wakes me up at least 5 times during the night, if not more. And it's so hard to be mad at her because, like, she'll wake me up just to give me love and purr, and she's not as destructive, but she's annoying. But it's hard when she's just being sweet. Like, she's being a sweet annoying, so I don't know how to handle it. All she wants to do is cuddle. Scotch tape on the paws. The paws. Let me grab her. Hold on. Hello. She was at the door waiting for me. She's gotten a lot bigger. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. I need pictures, Nate. I know last time you sent me pictures, they were looking huge, man. They were looking really big. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate that you like my kitty. So was anybody able to follow along with the lab? I'm seeing some people say that they were having issues. I just want to see if somebody figured it out. Windows Defender will re-enable itself. That is accurate statement. Do you offline crack the NTLM hashes to build word lists for future use? So I'm using the word list already. So if I'm cracking them, I'm not adding them to the word list, if that makes sense, because I've already got a word list that's finding them. Unless you're talking about storing them. Yeah, that's different. Never mind. I misread that. That's correct. You store it in your pot file. And yeah, you would strip out the username. So Matt, if you're getting access denied, that's either a incorrect password, most likely, or a permissions issue. How good is Hack the Box for preparing for OSCP? I think the Hack the Box machines, for the most part, are harder than the OSCP machine. So if you're knocking out Hack the Box at a successful rate, you're probably going to destroy the labs in the OSCP, if you want my opinion. You did most of what lab, Sick in the Mind? My lab or the OSCP, or what are we talking about? OSCP? Yeah, well, they've updated the exams because of the whole cybersick situation. So they're probably trying to make it a little tougher, which is good. They have a name to uphold, right? But I wish they would improve their labs. A little off topic. How did you find the eWPT exam? I thought the eWPT exam was okay. I thought it was semi-challenging. I finished it in 2 days. I had some previous web app experience already, so take that into account. But the experience was really well. Like, I didn't just find the admin or whatever I needed to do, right away. The exploits and everything that I needed to find took a little bit of time. So the fact that I had to hunt for it was really a good thing. What will my next adventure be that in your pocket for your followers once Zero to Hero's over? I don't know what's after Zero to Hero. I need a break. So I can definitely stream once a week. That's still the goal. But the lesson planning and everything else is killing me because I've got certifications and things that I need to take care of. So I've been slacking on that. Now I can sit here for 2 or 3 hours on a Wednesday night and cover Hack the Box or cover topics, whatever. Pretty much no issue. It's it's when I get to having to do this lesson plan. This lesson plan just for tonight took me like at least 24 hours. And that's just working hours. So the amount of effort that I'm putting in to this is just, that's why I asked you guys to upvote Hack the Box, because Hack the Box already has a couple of machines that are ready. It would literally kill me if I had to do another one, like another lab build out for this. So in terms of what's next, I'm not sure. Haven't thought that far ahead. I'm just trying to get through this one. I've not tried Wizard Labs. What's my day job? My day job is a penetration tester for the next 13 days. I don't know when my last day is. The next 9 days. Sorry. MTX. You asked me the same question 3 times now. We are having a maintaining access, pivoting, and cleanup lesson. Do you remember? Do you remember? This lady, MTX? Remember where it says maintaining access, pivoting, and cleanup, plus the legal stuff? I'm not skipping anything. We are ending the course at the end of May. So I will make sure that I finish this out completely through what I said I was going to do. It will be done. Hey, thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. And thanks, Mike. Yeah, I agree. It's a fine line to teach what I'm learning without duplicating the material. So that would also go into lesson planning and doing a lot of that. It just depends on the time frame for that. So somebody asked, sorry, there's a lot of questions coming through. How do I plan on finding contracts or clients? So my first client is going to be my old job because they need me and I kind of still need them. So that's good. I'll have work there. Obviously, it's not going to be at the bill rate that I want to bill moving forward, but it's going to be some steady income to stay afloat and get revenue under my belt, right? As a LLC, or actually as a incorporation. But in terms of finding clients, it's going to be SEO. It's going to be, hopefully using some of my name recognition and driving clients to me. There have been recently in the past few weeks clients coming to my company because of me and they want pen tests from me. So that has been a part of motivating factor as well. Is just that like, if I'm driving people like that, my brand's working. So I definitely need to just work on a good website, which I have in the works, get a good blog going, good SEO, and just try to drive clients organically, referrals, word of mouth, etc. So I've got plans to get clients, and it's just going to be, it's a slow grind. I'm going to have to do some things on the side to make extra money until I can get that steady revenue. So I don't expect to break even for some time. So American Dad or Family Guy? That is a really, really tough question. So I don't know. I like both. I think American Dad's more consistent. I think Family Guy's kind of tapered off towards the end, but American Dad's been more watchable lately. I run through the American Dad when I go to sleep. I pretty much leave it on. So So I looked at errors and emissions. I have not purchased it yet. It was as low as $60. I still have to figure out $60 a month. I still have to figure out what I want, like how much I want. For now, I have to, just decide what it's worth. But I was gonna wait till I got my first client. I didn't expect to have one as soon as I have. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm gonna hold. I still got a little bit of research to do that. That was one of the things I was procrastinating a tad. I do have a spreadsheet of everything where I've mapped out, what I would need to make to break even, and it's quite a bit more than what you make now because you don't realize all the extra little benefits that add up and the Social Security taxes that add up, and just these little details. So. No. If you want my email for that, that's my email. The website is not up. Just as a forewarning, if you go to that website right now, it's just some random image I put on there, and it's pretty terrible. So I got the logo done. The website mock-up is done. We're really close in terms of having that up and running. So I'm probably 1 or 2 days away from having the website fully up. So I've got a mutual NDA, like a basic NDA set up. I don't have it. I haven't passed it through legal yet. Yeah, that'd be cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've got like generic ideas of what I want to do for the documents. I just haven't gotten as far as writing them all out yet. That's really what I didn't intend to start until June, so I've got a little bit of leeway. Really, it's just been mapping all these things out and purchasing stuff. So get good liability insurance. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Let's see. Yeah, that sounds good, Brent. I appreciate that. So for any of you, I will share this. I'm going to share this anyway. I do plan on making this into a video or something at some point. So if you're considering starting a company, you have to take some things into consideration. And let me go to screen only. So these are some of the finances that I was starting to work through. So basically, what funds do you have, right? So I've got, 81 in the cash in the bank, 11 in cash savings. My monthly expenses are around $3,000, but I added another grand because you never know. So about $4,000 in expenses. I've got about 5 months till I'm broke. If I earn nothing else, 5 months till I'm broke. If I don't want to go broke, I have backup funds of a credit card at 4% interest. That's $22K. And again, a $35K credit card that's at 24% interest. So if you take a look at some of the things that you have to consider, I was making a base salary of $1,400. They were also giving me $1,500 or $140K. They were giving me a tech fee of $1,500 a year. Bring your own device of $1,200. The 401K match was $5,600. Health insurances were another $1,440. liability insurance was $720, and then the big whopper is the Social Security match. Now this health insurance number is low. It was the cost differential here that that is me going on my wife's insurance versus what I was paying already. If I was going on my own insurance, this would be a lot freaking higher. So there's a little bit there. I do have the errors and omissions down here as what I need to add into this situation with insurances. I've got liability already, but it's probably a little bit more. So yearly business expenses, I've got the Nessus license, the business license, the website cost, email, my utilities, mileage, depreciation, phone. They're actually all in my monthly expenses. So I've got those yearlies around $3K for now until I start accounting for those. And then sunk costs, I paid $1,000 for my website, $276 for registration. This is actually increased a little bit because there's some more. What did I buy? I bought website design, corp filing. I bought email, which I have in there. A logo I bought. Adobe Systems is a monthly fee. I bought business cards. So it starts adding up that I haven't added in here. And then we've got break-even revenue. So somewhere around 165. It's probably closer to 170. And then I've got weeks to break even, meaning 40 hours of work at my bill rate. So if I charge $300 an hour, about 14 weeks. If I charge $250 an hour, about 16 and a half weeks. So these are the kind of things that you really need to think about financially and where you're at. Do you have the money to do it? Are you going to go broke? What kind of money do you need to earn just to stay afloat? And even though you're making, what I'm making, doesn't mean it just stops there. It's somewhere really equivalent, closer on the 170 side. So you have to account your total overall income into these things as well. So food for thought for those of you looking to get into this. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Hey, thanks, Nabs. I appreciate it. I am not in California. I am in North Carolina. Very, very far away. Opposite side of the country. Thanks, Vita. I appreciate it. And I guess another thing I should add in there too, as a note, hardware cost. I haven't included hardware costs. At some point, I'm going to have to purchase a laptop that I'm going to be able to send off to clients if I want to do remote work. I'm going to have to spin up a VPN. Does that going to require a server? Probably. How am I going to run that? It's probably going to require a firewall as well. So I don't have that. Marketing costs. I'm going to have to advertise. I'm going to have to purchase ads like Google Ad Space, etc. So this number again is definitely probably even closer to 175. So yeah, policy as well. Accounting costs. You forget who was an accountant though. I was an accountant. I got a lot of this information down, but I absolutely will take it to an accountant. So plus there's quarterly filings that I have to do. There's a lot behind the scenes. And some places have some states, I haven't checked the policy in North Carolina yet. Some states require you to file a minimum, or you have to pay a minimum tax even if you take a loss. So I think a minimum might be $800. Get off the desk. Yeah, errors in the mission. It's basically your cover your ass insurance. So. AMA time is technically actually over. My hard stop was at 10. You guys got me rambling a little bit. And I got kitty pictures that came in. What? All right, Nate, you can't send me pictures that you've already sent me. It doesn't work like that, my friend. Yeah, thanks, guys. Any last question? I will take one more question. Have I checked out any other boutiques to reference? No, I need to. I'm working on putting together my business plan in terms of competitors. So I got to figure out what their pricing is, which is kind of hard to figure out, I think. But that's definitely a goal of mine. And thank you, Skyfallen. I appreciate the sub. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm super tired. Yeah, $250 an hour is pretty reasonable. So I will tell you that we charge over 300. In some cases, way more than that. But in the beginning, I don't expect to have a very high bill rate. I've never taken spectreops training. Sorry, man. I've heard good things about them. Nothing but good things about them. So, but I am 7 minutes past my deadline. You guys got me on a tangent. I really enjoyed talking to you, but I am so tired. So, I will catch everybody on the flip side. We will have AD version 3 next week. So, look forward to that. Look forward to wrapping up the course by the end of the month. We're 2 weeks out, guys. So, congratulations for making it this far. Love you too, grannies. Love you too. Bye, guys.